I crossed the finish line in 3 hours, 13 minutes, and 16 seconds. Is that really good? Is that really bad? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over my experience and do a bit of a recap of me completing my first ever Olympic length triathlon. About 10 months ago, at the time of recording this video, I was sitting in a bar with a group of friends where one of them, let's call him Luke, suggested that we commit to completing an Olympic length triathlon. I remember the moment. I was kind of sitting there and I was like, where the hell did this bright idea come from? And then I didn't think much more of it and went, stuff it, let's actually do it. And then I went to bed that night, had a really good night's sleep, woke up the next morning having no recollection of that conversation ever taking place. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and I get a couple of messages from Luke suggesting how to actually start training for an Olympic length tri. And this is where I knew I messed up. He actually wasn't joking about doing this, and at the time I was looking for a challenge, something that I could put my free time into to get myself out of my comfort zone and actually challenge myself to something that I didn't actually think I would ever be able to do. So because I am a man of my word, training began and my free time very quickly disappeared, and I actually made a video covering everything about the lead up to the actual event, and I've left a link down in the description below to that video if you were interested in checking out my journey along that path, journey, whatever you want to call it. If you could quickly hit that like and subscribe button at this point in the video as well, that would really be helpful for the channel. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed and I really do appreciate the support. Anyway, on the 13th of March, 2022, approximately 9 months since I began training for this event, I woke up fresh in the morning and then I got my shit together, which was a lengthy process, and headed to the start line with my mates ready for race day. I have to say it was a pretty surreal moment, even just being on that start line, because my training schedule leading up to this event was definitely not even as intense as my friends. It was something that I thought was pretty manageable, and just to be there ready to go, feeling pretty confident about my ability to complete this event, it was a really cool feeling. During that training period, I was running anywhere up to 3 times per week. I was swimming at least once per week and I was riding at least once per week as well, which was a pretty large commitment over that 9-month period to stay consistent and keep putting in the work to get ready for this day. Especially considering that before I started training for this event, I could not run further than 3 kilometers without having to stop and start. I could not swim more than 100 meters without having to catch my breath, and I was hurting pretty badly after the ride. Even though I could do it, it wasn't always a great ride. So like I said, having reached this moment, knowing that I was feeling pretty confident in my ability to get through each leg of this race was an exciting and thrilling moment. And building more on that moment, doing a 1.5 kilometer swim followed by a 40k bike ride followed by a 10k run definitely did not feel as scary, nowhere near as scary as it did on my first day of training about 9 months earlier. I had put the hard work in and here we were, ready to smash it out. How did I do? Let's get into that. I'm going to go through each leg and give a brief overview of what kind of went wrong, what went right, and how I felt through each stage. And then at the end of the video, or towards the end of the video, I'm going to go over some fun stats that tied into the previous video and how I thought I would perform. Starting with the swim, a minor oversight that me and my friends didn't really consider until we were standing in the water looking around us, realizing that we were really the only ones who weren't wearing wetsuits, had us thinking, what the hell were we doing wrong? Turns out that in water sports like this, wearing a wetsuit makes you more buoyant, and it actually converts to about a 7% advantage when you're in the water. This means 2 things. It means A, you should be traveling faster in the water, and B, you should be less tired when you're getting out of the water to go and compete in the next legs of the race. If I decide to participate in another race like this, this is something that I definitely will take into account before actually rocking up on the day unprepared. For me personally, the swim was pretty tough. I made it to about the halfway point and then realized that there was a lot more people in the water than I was expecting. I actually got kicked in the head, kind of freaked out because I don't know if you've watched my previous video, but I don't like deep water. It freaks me out a little bit more than it probably should. And when I got kicked in the head, I took a big breath and accidentally swallowed some seawater, which definitely didn't taste good. And then it kind of sat in my stomach for the next 750 meters and my stomach felt a bit like a washing machine. As I was getting to that transition period of me getting out of the water and running towards where my bike was set up, I definitely didn't feel too good. I felt like I was about to vomit and I was kind of delirious running up the chute to try and get to the area where if I needed to vomit, I would be kind of out of eyesight from the people who were spectating, because there were plenty of people coming to watch on the day. In the end, I held it down. I made it to the transition area. I got onto my bike and I started the leg. On the bike, I actually felt pretty good. I wasn't too fatigued towards the end of it, or so I thought, which I'll talk a bit more about when I get into the run. But I did have one small mechanical failure. My water bottle holder actually snapped off as I was putting my water bottle into my bike holder. And that freaked me out a little bit as well, because I thought my chain had come off or something was going wrong with the bike and I was going to crash, and I didn't end up crashing. So worked out okay. Losing a water bottle is not the end of the world. I had a backup on the bike, so I was pretty set for the entire leg. The thing that was interesting though, however, is that I noticed a bunch of people who had really nice bikes. They were having mechanical issues, flat tires, things like that. And I watched them starting to walk back, realizing that that would be pretty unfortunate. So I'm thankful that my bike held out for the actual event. I felt pretty good on the bike leading into the run. So finally, I made it to the run and I was feeling pretty excited. The swim was probably the worst component in my mind leading up to the race. The bike was a pretty lengthy component. The run, easy. 10 Ks, 2 laps of a 5-kilometer circuit. I should be able to do this no probs. My transition went quick. I put my shoes on, I started running, and I came out at a 5-minute pace, which is pretty quick for me. I was pretty excited to do a 10K run in about 50 minutes, and I made it about 100 meters to the first turn, and my legs went to jelly. I went all the way down to like a 7-minute pace, and I was not moving quickly. It really was a sign that my legs were starting to get mad at me, because I had just put them through a swim and a bike ride, and they were not happy about how it was starting to heat up outside either. I definitely was struggling in this leg. I made it through the first lap with only having to stop once at the aid station, which was about the 3-kilometer mark into the run. When I made it to the second lap, I definitely was feeling a little bit better. My legs were kind of getting used to it. I was in that motion of just running and not really paying attention. Just get to the end was my focus. And when I made it to that second aid station, where they have water ready to have a couple of drinks, they had actually run out of water and it was really starting to get hot. So I ran almost 7 kilometers with no water, and I was definitely dehydrated and malnourished. I was very tired, and the second lap of this run was really bad for me. I was not feeling great, but I kept moving all the way to that finish line. I pushed through those last couple of kilometers, ran down that finish line, crossed the finish line, and I was feeling terrible. I remember my partner ran up to me with a Powerade and was like, "Here, drink this, just get something into you." And I just looked at her and I just went, I never, ever, ever, ever want to do this again. I was in so much pain. It was full on. It was an experience. I'm so glad that I finished it, but it was truly an experience to cross that finish line in so much pain. So that was my personal reflection on how I did. Now let's look at some stats and compare how I did to others, and if my time was relatively good or bad. For those who do triathlons, I'm sure you'll be aware, but for those who are uneducated, I thought this was pretty interesting to see myself. And it also sets a goal for me for future races if I do decide to participate in them. So for my age group, I came 33rd out of 38 people. 4 people didn't actually get times, so that means that I actually came second to last overall, which to be honest, I'm pretty happy with. I definitely thought I would come last in my age group. For everyone who participated in the Olympic length distance, I came 296th out of 319, which again was not last, and I'm pretty shocked that I didn't come last. The people who were running this race, they were there to win. Like, they were there to race. They were freaking moving, and it was impressive to see people just pushing through their pain to get to that finish line. Now, out of my friends that I was competing against, there were 5 of us in total racing in the Olympic length. I came last, and it was not by too far from the next person up, but the rest of them I absolutely got smashed. My friend Tom was roughly about 10 minutes faster than me. Mitch and Mason were well within 8 seconds of each other to that finish line, and they finished about 30 minutes ahead of me. And Luke, being the champion that he is, absolutely smashed this race. It was an unbelievable spectacle considering, and I'll talk a bit more about his run in a second, his run was absolutely amazing. Luke ended up coming 9th in our age group and finished nearly 50 minutes faster than me. He actually finished the run in 33 minutes, which works out to roughly a 3-minute 24 pace, which is absolutely insane. He had the second fastest run out of everyone who participated in that distance, which is just nuts. Like, I have to reflect on it. Well done to him. What a crazy achievement. And here were the individual stats for how I performed across each leg of the race. So if I ever want to reflect on this, come back to it if I race in a similar race again to see how I compared. definitely this is where I'll be coming to see those stats. To wrap today's video up, I want to say two things. The first is that I am extremely happy with the result / outcome of me even finishing this race. I put in the work and the work paid off. My main objective the entire time was just to finish. There was nothing else that I really set as a goal. I just wanted to cross that finish line. And number two was that even though I really hated swimming, I hated training for it, I hated doing the swim, I hated everything about it, I don't love swimming, I really enjoyed riding and running. It's something that I have never really gotten into heavily, and I still wouldn't say I'm heavily into it, but I definitely committed to getting better at them, and I did get better at them, and it's something that I probably will continue to do well into the future. Now, also having my fitness levels in a really good spot for me at my age, I think that I definitely will continue to participate in these events over the coming years. I just think I might space them out so that I have enough time to improve that ever so slight more before actually competing in another event. I guess the next goal that I'll be setting for an Olympic length triathlon will be to finish it in under 3 hours, which should be more than easily achievable. I guess as a recap, that's really what I wanted to cover in today's video. For you, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next event I decide to participate in and almost try to kill myself to try and complete. I think it'll be pretty funny. I'll make sure I get some funny footage from it. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was insightful. I hope you learned something. Maybe I motivated you. Hopefully something good came from it. And that's pretty much it. I hope that you have a good day, a good week. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.